It's the morning DNA. I'm Aaron Dash, the man of single black shirt.
Hi,
She is today who's the woman of a billion distractions. And we're here to find out what today, January 23, 2023, is made of.
It's 2323.
123. Yeah,
oh
123 2023.
All right. Well, guys, we'll be back at 9:23. Bye.
We'll be here at 9:23. We can celebrate then.
Yeah, okay. We're going to forget. It's in 20 minutes. Chat, help us.
We are here.
And those of you that are listening in the future on the podcast feed, feel free to join us live in the chat. We go live sometimes.
Well, if they're in the podcast feed, they know that it's been a few minutes before we've gone live.
Yeah. Let's just say that when Danae gets sick or Aaron leaves
travels.
Town,
Yeah.
that it always happens to happen on a Monday, and it's just sucks. But we've missed you guys so much.
We very much have. And like the end of the year, beginning of the year with holidays, that kind of stuff, it's always insanity. So I can't promise it'll be better next holiday season because my travel schedule over the holidays is wild because I've also got award stuff that I'm doing.
I randomly went to Mexico.
You did that, yes.
That was unexpected. Mm-hmm. But, when a friend says, hey, all inclusive, let's all expenses paid trip to Mexico. Do you wanna? You say, yeah, and you go.
Sure. Why not?
But then, you get a migraine and it spills over into your week. And there's just all kinds of things that happen. And just thank you guys so much for being so understanding about us having a wonky schedule. And yet here you are, not just listening in the podcast feed because for some reason you're still subscribing, but also joining us live. And thank you guys so much.
For some reason,
you're still listening. There's probably at least one of you out there that's been listening since the very beginning. I don't know why you are, but thank
that's
you.
Interesting. That would be an interesting. I would love to hear from someone who has been a part of the podcast feed since the beginning. Since the summer of 2012.
And it's your mother.
That's fair. Thank you for the comments on my hair. Yeah, it's been so long that my hair has grown quite a bit. So yeah, I went.
He's doing the Pikes Peak, guys.
I don't know what I'm doing. I'm honestly still figuring it out with my hair person.
Tell them about who's making the decisions for your hair these days.
Well, I've told her I tell all my hair people this. I am the canvas. You are the artist. Like, I have nothing to prove with my hair. Just do whatever you think is going to look amazing, look great, whatever. So a couple months ago, about the last time we probably talked to each other on this show, I got a haircut and my hairstylist was like, you have such great, thick, like beautiful hair. I don't know why we're cutting it this short. She said, let's do something with it. Like, grow it out.
Do you know how many people want this hair?
That's what she said. She was like, do you understand how many clients I have
want
this kind of hair? And I was like, well, I mean,
but
generally,
I don't know what to do with it. Like, what are you going to do with it?
Generally, I'm just like, I don't use product. I don't style. I wake up. In a short haircut's easy. I just go and it's good, one time through with the hand. Mm-hmm. And she was like, well, let's try some stuff. And I was like, you're the artist. I'm the canvas. And she's like, we're just going to grow the top out. And I was like, how much? She's like, we'll see. We'll just keep going until, we feel like it's good.
Do you have a second thought that maybe this person's just lazy? Just doesn't wanna anymore?
Right. Well, she is still texturing the top. So like she is still doing some work.
Okay.
She doesn't strike me as lazy. No. And look, I get that great like massage gun at the end that the barbers do now.
Oh, they blast you. Okay.
Yeah.
They've all got the
Look, I would pay the monies just to go have that happen for a little bit.
That's nice. I got out of sync with my hairstylist and I thought, okay, I'm not dyeing my hair. I'm not really doing much with it, like cut wise. Mm-hmm. So I think I'm just going to stop. And then, of course, pandemic, there's no going anywhere. And I didn't get back into the rhythm once like restrictions started to lift locally. And then people were, masking, but going out. And that whole sort of like re-entry at the very beginning, like in the really intense phases of pandemic. Mm-hmm. And now that at least where I live, no one masks and I think maybe 0.01% masks still. I still haven't got.
It's been over here for like to the vast majority of the population. Pandemic's been over for 6 months.
Yeah, so I still haven't.
And for some of them, it never began. But let's not talk about them.
But my hair is just like, it's just whatever color comes out of my head, and then whatever length it grows to. But I think, well, I want to do something else. I want to texture it. So then I did the thing where I called my hair salon, and I just said, "Hey, I'm in the neighborhood. Do you have any open chairs?" That's just not how it works. It's just not how they're like, yeah, we're booked up for a month. And I'm like, oh yeah, that's where I used to go, where it's booked up for a month. I wish I could go and just sit down and just say cut my hair to anybody, but I have had some horrifying haircuts, so it's scary.
That's why when I find somebody like Andrea who cuts my hair and is booked out 3 to 4 weeks in advance, like I just make sure when I'm done with one haircut, I book the next one, for 4 weeks out.
Yep.
Because it means a lot to me to have somebody who knows what they're doing,
Yeah. In the chat, Slab says, my hair gets buzzed. I pay $18, 23 with a tip for someone to spend 4 minutes cutting my hair. I am in the wrong business. Yeah, they do make really good dollars. But they also are on their feet all day, leaning over all day, holding their arms up in the air all day.
In some of the conversations they have to put up with
all day.
I've heard some of the conversations that they have to put up with. So yeah, it's definitely a job that I would not do well at. So yeah.
I'm loving. Hi, Sohila. I love you. It's good to see you. Danae, you can dye your hair CinemaSins red. Well, in the intro to this very show, the picture that's up on the screen is when I used to dye my hair red, and it was a lot of fun. But it was more of a hair red. Spending money at that time. It's expensive.
It's not like a CinemaSins red. No, it's like a hair, like a red hair red. But
Yep. Anyway, it's good to see your hair growing. I think Pike's Peak is the answer. If you don't know what that is, just look it up on the internet. And maybe do hashtag Star Trek.
We're getting there.
There's a character played by Christopher Pike, or is it just Chris Pike?
I think Pike is the character's name, right?
Yeah, Pike is the character's name. What's the actor's name? Anson Mount?
Yes, Anson Mount. Good job. Yes. Handsome Anson.
Yeah. So that guy, he has like this epic, just straight up from the forehead, straight up into the sky peak of hair, and it's beautiful. And I think that's what she's going to be going for, honestly.
It's possible. I just know that this morning I used a hairdryer and a little bit of product, and it's just not something that I usually do. But if I just use product without the hairdryer, it looks really like greaser. Like flat and slicked back because the hairdryer gives it the volume.
Yeah.
And if I use hairdryer without product, it looks it just
amazing.
Everything is everywhere. So
how many people want to see Aaron's hair YouTube channel? I am raising my hand. Oh, audio listeners.
Nice.
Here's a story from chat from Lolly. I once went to get a haircut, and the hairdresser kid was having a cut in the next chair, and he fell asleep. So they had one stylist holding his head up while the other one cut it.
It's amazing.
So cute. I've been talking. So Iris has never had her hair cut. So she's now 5.5 years old. She's never had her hair cut. Actually, I do have.
Has she talked about it? Has she talked at all about doing that?
Not yet, but I do have this, and I'm going to show it. It's a tiny little strand of hair in this little band. Mm-hmm. This is when she accidentally cut her own hair one day. And I was her
like
first
quote
haircut.
unquote accidentally, or
total accident. She was playing around with some scissors and she was looking down and she was just snipping something and her hair just fell in front of her face.
Literally was an accident. Okay. Yeah.
So I walk into my office and there's just little bits of paper all over the floor where she'd just been cutting happily, like with some safe scissors on a piece of paper, totally fine. And then interspersed in between are just these tiny little blonde curls that are just like cut as well. So I kept a couple of little curls, but she has talked about it a little bit, like mostly like I'll say, I'm gonna go get my haircut, do you want to get your haircut with me? And she'll say no, and then I'll talk about how hair grows back. So I figure she'll go with me, see me get my haircut, and maybe she'll want to cut her hair. I've brought it up a little bit, but it's just,
it's her hair.
I'm not worried about it.
That's what we've always done with our kids. It's your hair, dude. And that was kind of when I grew up too. It was one thing my parents were like, "Hey, show your, individualism with your hair. That's fine.
Yeah,
it's just hair.
Exactly.
So
Yep. Oh, Aaron, I'm so excited to do the show with you again.
Yeah.
I have missed chatting with you.
I have missed it as well.
There's
been a lot that's gone on.
So much. Like,
Yeah.
where do we even start? Do I start with the fact that I finally got rid of my Pixel Pro that I hated so much, and I went back to a phone that I really enjoy? That's a brand new thing. Do I talk about how my car is in the shop and now I'm driving my Jeep and people think I'm a Jeep girl again, and technically I am a Jeep girl because I have a Jeep, but I'm not that kind of Jeep girl that knows what to do with the Jeep? Do I talk about how that Jeep hasn't been drivable over 60 miles per hour on the highway for the last 8 years because it gets the death wobbles? But then I realized that the axle lock was off, and so I locked the axles and now it's fine again. So it's like having a brand new car again. Like, what? I have so many things to talk to you about.
Wait. Okay. There's an axle lock? Is this a button you push?
Yeah. Yeah. Here's the fun story behind that too. That was something that I recommended everyone try before we were like, death wobble confirmed, car is broken. And everyone was like, no, it's fine. And then just when I'm like, you know what, I'm pressing this button, and I did, and then it was just like a little shunk, and then it feels like I'm driving a dream car again. It's amazing.
That is amazing.
8 years, and I'm not exaggerating. It has been so long. And even when I have friends come in town, I would usually give the Jeep to them as like a little extra vehicle because they need something to drive and save them some money, and it's fine. And I'm like, don't go over 50 miles an hour. Don't get on a highway. Take the back roads. And they're like, okay, is it a Jeep thing? No, it's not a Jeep thing. It's not a cool, like, take the back roads because you're driving that kind of off-roading vehicle experience. It's just, don't do it. And then I push the button. It's totally fine. I'm the happiest girl.
That's amazing. No, that's a great feeling. I mean, you have to very quickly flush the feeling of 8 years. It could have been better. Like,
I have to. But once you're past
that, blue skies. It's just beautiful. It's all roses. After that,
it's a very frustrating thing. Yeah.
Yeah, we could talk about that stuff. We could talk about the derpy perpy that's living at my house right now.
Do you have pictures of the dirt perp?
I could probably access them if you want to vamp for a little bit, but
yeah. Well, I mean, sure.
This
dog.
If you want. I will pull up the one picture because I think it's an important aspect of what we're talking about here. But as you know, as if you listen to the show, we're doing Rover, where we watch other people's puppies. And it's one of the most wonderful things we've ever decided to do. We love it so much. And we have a puppy staying with us for the first time this week who's a derpy perpy, which just means is the derpiest little dog I have ever watched. Has a constant derp tongue. So always has the tongue out of the mouth, always. And when this dog sleeps with derp tongue and eyes open, and I swear
it just puts its head forward and rests almost like its nose down on the couch. Because you sent a photo, and I hope it's the one that you're bringing up now, because I find it to be one of the best dog pictures I've ever seen personally. And it's this just like, it's like a Pomeranian, I'm going to say.
Mm-hmm, yes.
And so it's just a big floofy dirt perp with the tongue out, and it looks like it's just, given up on living.
It also always has to wear a belly band because it just pees. It just like so it's like,
okay, I didn't know belly bands were a thing until I believe you started using the Rover stuff, and then my parents they got a dog that they were I think they were going to foster, but they ended up adopting a dog, and it came with a belly band, and I was like, what is that? What an amazing thing to do. Just wrap that dog in like a little, look at this puppy, guys. Look at this dog.
This is a sleeping dog. That is a dead dog. That is not
Look
a
at that face.
Dog.
I mean,
podcast listeners, it is worth it just to find the YouTube or Twitch stream of this and check out this photo.
Or just imagine a dog that has fallen asleep on its face with his eyes open and its tongue out. Just imagine that.
I think I got a better angle. Oh yeah, this is a better angle of the face that I can share as well. But man, I'm just telling you, It's so fun just having a new dog to experience, and then also getting, being able to get rid of the dog when it's time. So, by the way, I accidentally brushed up against that derp tongue. It is so dry. It is so it is. I don't understand how this is comfortable.
So does it have teeth? It looks like an old dog.
It is an old dog. 10.
Okay. So I think he's 10. So it doesn't have teeth, and that's why its little tongue slips out.
Correct.
So the poor dog has, you can even see the little drying, crackling bits of his tongue. That's just sadness.
Yeah. Yep.
Well, I'm glad that you're doing the thing, because I get to see so many dogs now that you guys are doing this rover thing. It's amazing.
Yeah.
I love it.
We could talk about the LA Symphony, which was amazing. We could talk about the award show that I went. There's so many things that have happened.
Can we talk about that moment whenever you're like, hey, here's one of the most impressive people that I've met this time around, and you took a picture with Weird Al after you were speaking with James Cameron just moments before. Insane. I love your stories.
So at the awards this year, this year specifically, I have finally kind of gotten to the place where I'm like, you know what? If a picture with a celebrity doesn't happen organically, I don't want to keep treating celebrities like collections, like an object that I can collect. They're human beings. It's got to be exhausting to them to feel like everybody just wants a piece of them because they're famous. And so, no relationship, but you want this picture with me, kind of thing.
You know how you feel when you're like one parent to 4 children? Mm-hmm. Like you're one person that needs to do something for 4 children and a wife and yourself, and it's overwhelming. Imagine being a celebrity where you're one person to billions of people that want your attention. It's just insane.
It's also not a person to billions of people. It's an object to billions of people. These people don't know you as a person. And you want to know what put me over the edge was the Selena Gomez documentary. If you haven't seen the Selena Gomez documentary, I forget which streamer it's on. I believe Hulu, but you'll just look it up. The Selena Gomez documentary, she really goes into how it feels at interviews, at award shows, at different things, when she can tell whoever's interviewing her is not even seeing her as a person. They're seeing her as content, as, whatever the case may be.
Yeah.
And it put me over the edge. And I was just kind of like, you know what? I think I'm done doing this. I have no judgment to anybody who wants to get pictures. I totally understand the instinct. I've done it for 10 years, guys. I understand the instinct to be like, proof that I was next to this person,
Bragger.
but it's like if you, I can tell the stories, and, just because I don't have a picture doesn't make the story any less meaningful to me. Now, it may be a little less proof to someone else, but whatever
the picture
case
didn't
may
happen
be.
kind of a vibe.
So I'm at the awards. I'm having great conversations with so many people I love and respect. Talked to James Cameron just for a little bit. He was obviously overwhelmed, but just wanted to tell him how much I loved his movies.
He was obviously overwhelmed and checking his bank account as his movie crosses the $2 billion mark.
There are 6 movies in the history of movies that have made $2 billion or more. Half of them are his. That's insane. That man is insane. So talking to all these people I love and respect. And then there was one person I was just like, I had a conversation and I just was like, I told him, I said, there's only one person in this room that I'm going to ask a selfie for, and I hope you'll forgive me, but I would really like a selfie with you, Weird Al. And he was like, of course. And he was, he was so they're usually at award shows, especially, they're all so very open and kind and those kind of things. But yeah, so I took a selfie with Weird Al just before the Daniels, who directed Everything Everywhere All at Once, came up to talk to him. So that's the kind of room that was. But yeah, that was a lot of fun.
Here's just an interesting thing too. Like Link asks in the chat, do you guys do pictures with fans? And it's strange too, because so I joined the public figure ring, and there are many, 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 many rings, and I am definitely not on the inner ring.
Correct. We're on a very, very outer ring.
It's very different. I am not on the Weird Al ring. I'm not on the James. I'm on the 10 years later, we get to the ripple that reaches the very end of the largest body of water possible.
That's where we are. Yeah.
That's where we are. But technically, people in radio, that was kind of my first experience of going to an event and having someone come up to me and say something like, can I have a picture with you and talk about that they like me. And I don't know who they are at all. That was my first experience. Kind of
their
with
idea of you through the content you've produced. Yes.
Yes, because I was in radio. And of course I do pictures. Absolutely. Especially because I know how strange it can be to approach someone. So it's like, well, yeah, if you have if you put the effort into coming up and potentially having a really awkward conversation, like, of course, like, and it's not a big deal for me. I'm very social. Now, if it was on the level of like Weird Al, I don't know how I would feel about stuff, but for my tiny little contribution to any fan base, yes, I would do pictures, and I wouldn't even hesitate.
And I think that's easy for us to say because of where we are on that spectrum. Like in radio, working for CinemaSins and the stuff that we've done, my movie reviews on the local news channel, which even within the last month, even though I haven't done one in like 4 months on the news, like somebody recognized me from there.
That's fun.
So when that happens, I'm great with it. I mean, first of all, let's be honest, on a human level, it's a bit of an ego boost, which you have to keep in check, and you kind of have to figure out what that means to you. But on a personal level, I think there's a kind of a reverse kind of thing where you also have to treat anybody who comes up to you who knows you from your stuff as a human being and not just as a fan, quote unquote. And so that's the attempt, at least. But yeah, it doesn't happen all the time for us.
I like how you're like, keep your ego in check. Like, that's your own journey. And I just imagine someone being like, hey, can I take a picture? You're like, yes. And then you turn around and you take out your bag and you're like, and let's print it on my HP printer. Here's my Sharpie. I'll sign it for you. Like, just taking it to that
arrogance
next level.
And ego are two different. Like, yeah, I think there is, when I talk about ego, I talk about that thing inside of us that longs to be seen, right? That longs to be noticed and admired and elevated. So, that's a very interesting thing that a lot of us have, some of us more than others. And I think it's well worth wrestling with. But yeah, absolutely. I love taking pictures. Conversations are hard for me sometimes, but I think I do a good job.
You do a great job, Aaron. You only have to be kicked under the table once, possibly twice. That's fine, though. It happens. I just want the chat to know, because we're going to obviously continue to do the show and kind of progress, but we are pinning some of your comments to come back to at the end for just like general conversation and new questions and stuff like that. So
sure.
I just want to let you guys know that.
That's a lot, man.
I'm glad you go do that stuff. It's been interesting for me. Like, I know we're doing a lot of catch up today because we haven't got a chance to chat for a while, but like some other things I'd want to tell you about is I spent 9 hours cleaning my office, which was really great. It had become the room again that like I had spent 13 years creating, like the systems of just putting something down and not dealing with it. That's sort of like my way is dump and go, because what's in my mind to get to is the more important thing than dealing with the clutter that I'm creating as I go. Yeah. I'm like Pigpen from Peanuts, just like everything is everywhere. And then when I hired my organizer / angel / life altering person to help me for a couple of years, I actually didn't keep her in my budget when my budget changed. And so I've really missed her accountability, honestly. And so there have been some things that have been getting more and more and more out of control. And 6 months, I think, of just collected, I'll deal with this later. Yeah. And then pile moving. And so I know what the piles are. And I remember making them, and I remember that within the pile that is within that pile, and the process of why I have it in that order. So it's all like in here, but it's the activity of actually putting things away, going through that. I started the process. I have another 9 hours easy of the minutia. Mm-hmm. Where does this paper go? It goes here. Where does this like that kind of stuff? I still have to do that level of detail work. Yeah. But I got everything put where it's going to be hyper organized next. And it took me so long, and I was so proud of myself because nobody helped me. And usually I kind of like flail, but I took a weekend, I think it was 2 weekends ago, And this is super important because every time I walked into this room, I started to get like have a physical reaction. It went from just mental blocks to just like, I feel sick. And that was a really interesting thing to kind of go, oh, I've hit a point. I don't want to go past this. And kind of just, it feels weird because I didn't want to take the time to address it because I felt like it was putting other people out because they had to take over other responsibilities in the house so that I could address a mess. But it's still really important work. So yeah, it was a really cool thing. And I was really proud to share that with you guys because you know my clutter journey.
Yeah.
So I've been inspired to just like make sure that I'm staying on top of it because I'm getting quite a bit overwhelmed. Iris has got a collection of stuff. I don't even know how to address that. Like I'm going to have to have her come back to the house. It's Teresa time. I need this woman back in my life.
Oh, I can help. Just find me a trash can.
No, I know how you do things. No.
It worked for my kids. They went out of town for a week. I stayed home, and when they came back, 3/4 of their toys were thrown away. And they nary said a peep. They had no clue.
Yeah, I did a similar thing, Aaron. So when it was the holidays and we were having family over and children over, I went into my child's room and I took away 6 laundry baskets of just stuffed animals and I put them downstairs and she has not noticed it since before Christmas.
Yep.
And I'm like, well, crap, what do I do now? Because
Throw 'em away.
there are some that I want to keep because they're like I love that. And it reminds me of her. So then I'm dealing with my own thing. So right now it's just sitting literally below this room, and I'm like,
it's okay. It's genuinely not that anybody needs my permission, but it's genuinely okay to imbue physical objects with emotion because of stories and what they mean to us, right? I think
maybe just one.
Correct.
Maybe just one thing.
I think the balance is figuring out that not every object gets that. You can't put a story or an emotion into every object, or no object ever can, leave. And that becomes a little bit problematic.
It is problematic. And I don't mean to talk about it like in the first of the year because it's a super normal conversation to have at the first of the year when you have goals and you're thinking of like, I'm going to be decluttering, and I'm getting so many decluttering, advertisements now for just different methods and things like this. It is a lifestyle situation. And simultaneously, my grandmother, it has a house she's lived in for 50 years, and she's starting to move her items into her children's space, and her grandchildren's space is like passing on heirloom pieces and things. And it's like, oh my gosh. So then my mother is purging, and like everyone's purging. And so when the purge happens and you're in a family that is a collector hoarder family, then you pass the purge from person to person. And I'm like, okay, it's go time. Mom doesn't want her piano. I don't have any room for a piano. I don't even play the piano. I haven't sat at a piano since I was 8 years old. What do I do? I'm taking the piano, right? I gotta take the piano. Oh God, I just want the bench because it has these cool little glass little feet thingies, but I don't even know what I'm gonna do with. For every single piece in a house. It's a lot of work. We should do like a clutter kind of company hangout situation so we can all just like deal with our stuff. It's a lot.
It is.
It's a lot.
It is a lot. It is why I am thankful that my tendency is
throw things away.
My tendency is not to imbue any object with any kind of emotion.
It's
they're
powerful.
just objects. So.
You're right. It is. It's just objects. And I'm really proud of myself and my family. Like we're all just dealing with some stuff, like we're all kind of like, where's this come from? And it's interesting to think about where it does come from. Like for my family, there's generations where you did keep the heirloom furniture because it was the only furniture that you had.
Well,
whereas now it's like you can go
photos,
to IKEA.
Before photos, in those kind of things, they were these visible, tangible ways to remember things. It wasn't just that it was nice to remember things. It was the only way to remember something. So yeah, I think photography, videos, those kind of things have have really changed that kind of stuff. And one of the things I remember being suggested early on when you're decluttering, if you have a lot of stuff that's meaningful, do a video diary, and really go over that stuff and talk about why it's meaningful to you. And then you still have that to go back to if you want to remember those things, even after they break or get thrown away or lost or whatever.
Yeah, it's a process, and every family is different. I will point out that Aaron's father is in the chat, and his comment is, "Clutter, what's that?" And to you, I say, "Sir, you are a special unicorn breed of a man." They have so few belongings and just travel full time, and that's like incredible to me. I actually, because I've traveled more in the last year than I ever have my entire life, I come back home and I'm like, yeah, I could leave all this stuff. I feel it differently. I feel it differently now, which is interesting.
Yeah, there's
Maybe
something about
age,
embracing the nomadic idea of, you only need what's on your back, kind of thing. I think that can be helpful. It can be helpful in a world where, we tend to hunker down.
Guys, we're doing a show. Lucas, our new producer, reminds us, he just tapped the time clock and said, guys, let's shoe a dough here.
I was just thinking, we're 35 minutes in. My topic holds a week. If we want to hold topics for a week, does your topic hold a week? Should we just have a conversation and then just do some questions for the end? Because it's been so long.
Well, I do want to say too, because there's chat in about like phones hoarding things too. So I'm also on top of the house stuff and all the stuff that's kind of going on that I'm dealing with. Besides all of that, I also have this new phone, and so I'm now having to take my old phone and then just like double check that everything is on the new phone. And of course they do like the simple click this button and transfer everything over. And that works for like 90% of what you need to do, but you're still logging back into things. So then there's the clutter of all the passwords. Then there's all the pictures. Then there's going back to the pictures. I also have a whole bunch of recordings, and I'm just collecting all this stuff. And it's wild to me the amount of time that you need to invest to stay up with all the things that you can create. And as a creative person who also creates a lot of things, it's like I'm an extra collector. So it's going to be interesting. I really want to be intentional. I stopped I know I've talked about this on the show before, but I started my journey of like addressing this part of me a decade ago when I realized I had a problem with clutter and collections and all this stuff by trying to not collect anymore and try to really be careful. Like, I already have this. I don't need another one. Why do I need this? And that helped a lot, but there's still a long way to go.
I am in almost constant awareness of how I organize my movie collection too. Like there's we each have something that we like to collect. And when I say movie collection, I don't just mean physical media. That's fairly easy for me to kind of sort and put on the shelf or whatever. I mean my digital media collection, and the idea of the software that I use to play it, which is Plex, and how it's sorted on the hard drive and all those kind of things. My mom just went through a project of complete organization of all of our home videos that were
amazing.
All the way back to when they were shooting us on what was it called, like 8mm film. Like back those early cameras, my parents actually had I believe it was a film camera that it didn't use magnetic tape, and so putting all that stuff on digital. And so now I have this beautiful digital library of all of our home videos growing up, and I'm trying to collect the same for my kids. And I think that's
good.
It is. It's a really, there's something that I think we all get to an age where we start to be like, oh, now I'm a little bit more interested in what happened before me. Like what was my parents' life like growing up? What was their parents' life like growing up? We're so, I think in general, self-centered for a large portion of the beginning of our life, where we're just figuring out what our life is. What does my life look like? Who am I? What are my surroundings? Those kind of things. And then we reach a point, I think, where it's like, oh, these human beings who have been so crucial to our lives, what has been interesting to them through their life? What were those moments and what did they see? And I think technology has offered us the ability to do that in even better ways, because we can actually see these people who are important to us early on. So
yeah, and on top of that, I think we realize that that's the kind of stuff that we want to spend our time on, not like going through the minutia of every single thing that you're trying to like keep track of. But
right.
like I'm a catalog family. We like to catalog things. Like we like to create entire libraries and actual libraries of books and catalog them and like know where things are, and there's rules and there's collections and there's everything has a purpose, and everything not even a purpose. Everything has an emotion. Everything has a story. Everything has something like I'm the keeper of all of these amazing stories, and it's my responsibility to keep all the things that I have, and also when I pass them on to you, share that story with you as to why this is a very important thing. And like there's just this like there's this space it takes up in your brain, and at some point you don't have time for it, either because of a job or a relationship or a kid or whatever. And so some things like change in their importance value and they start sliding down the list. But then like the next evolution is, well, what is at the top of the list and what do you want to spend your time on? And then that list just starts to really just drop off. And it feels good. It feels really good, especially when you have a chance to be in a active conversation with yourself about that process. Some people don't get this choice. Their things are like lost in a flood or a fire, and they have to have this like purge that they didn't deserve. This purge that was like it was forced. The opportunity is taken from them. Yeah, and that's an awful feeling to go through, or things are stolen. But if you have the chance to actively kind of engage with what you want, like with my grandmother having a house that has 50 years of memories, that's a really beautiful thing, but it's also a lot. And so the kids have to deal with that. And then I'm looking at my mother and father's house going, who's going to deal with that when you guys are gone? And it's going to be me. And I'm like, oh my God, that's a huge project. So it's like, I have to get my space ready for your space. And it's just this like, what do you want to pass on? Because I would rather have the stories. I would rather have the photo albums and learn about where we came from. But we focus so much on the stuff. So it's going to take me a long time. It's going to be a journey because I'm wired this, like it's a natural instinct for me.
Well, and I go there too. I one thing that I'm dealing with right now is another thing my mom did is she took all my old T-shirts and shirts from the first 25 years of my life or whatever, and made 4 quilts from the shirts. So like every square of this quilt has a story about what this shirt meant to me and when I wore it, and what time of my life that was. And the idea was that because I have 4 children, each of them would get one of these quilts and they could have them or whatever. And just as I'm thinking about it, like, and have given it to them as they've moved on or whatever, I'm just like, they don't care about that right now. Maybe they never will. I don't know. But maybe there's a day 20 years from now, fingers crossed, still here, that they'll pull out the quilt and go, tell me about these T-shirts, and I'll be able to tell stories with my kids or whatever. I don't know. Like it's. I know it was really meaningful to me. I was very grateful that my mom did it, and it's been really cool to have those, because you open one of those up and you're just like, oh, I remember the basketball team I was on when I wore this jersey. Like so I think that's a fun, practical way to kind of keep some stuff that's meaningful. So
there's ways to decide what's valuable to you, and you learn that stuff from, like, I think your environment, your parents, the people who care for you or whatever, and some of it's just instinctive for yourself too. But like you have a minimalistic mentality, your parents are minimalistic. I have a maximalistic mentality. My parents are maximal. Like there's so many times when I have been ready to purge, and if they come over, they're like, well, you could reuse this for this and you could reuse that for that. And I think that there's a shift happening because my parents are talking differently about their things and I'm talking differently about my things. So I'm really curious what this next kind of phase is going to look like.
And I'm difficult too. And I know Jen and I, like when we want to purchase things, I am such a minimalist that I get over, I guess, what's the word? Over adamant about not purchasing things I think we don't need. You know what I mean? Because I'm just like, why do we need stuff in our house, right? And there are times where I just need to be the one that it's okay for a season to have something, just because like if it serves a purpose, if it means something, that's okay. So I know I have some growing to do towards the other side, where it's like not everything has to be this battle of, do we really need this? Don't buy it. Do we really need this? Throw it away. Not everything has to be like that. There is a balance to have, and
There's
I need to find my way there. Yeah.
Yeah. But it's like, you have to spend time on it. You have to spend time on it. So Shaggy asks in the chat, do you collect movie stubs?
Nope.
And what's interesting is I do. I have movie stubs from the first movies that I watched when I was a teenager, and they're in my little collection boxes, which are hidden back over here. And yet, as time has gone on, I'm like, do I still do this? Like, how long do I do this? Because once I start something, I don't know when to stop. And I also would keep things like my plane tickets, just, almost like I need to be reminded that I went here. I want to remember this. And it's like important to me. And I just got back from like one of the most incredible trips, because I actually went to Europe. I never thought that I would have the time or the resources to go on a trip like that. But I made it work. And I just threw the plane tickets away as I was cleaning up, because I was like, I don't have to be that person. I have pictures, and I know I went to Europe. So it's really weird, because I feel like, but when can I go purge those old movie tickets? Do I just take a picture of them like everybody else does? Maybe that's the answer. Just take a quick picture and then never look at the pictures again. Because guess what? That's a 700-day experience, is going through your photos and purging your photos. I ain't got time for that. But it's a good question. And then this question came up next. Do you still collect soda cans?
No. In fact, I don't even know that collection exists anywhere. I think it all got thrown away. But unless it's hiding in our storage, which I don't think much is hiding in our storage again, because I throw stuff away. So, but yeah, no, that was fun for a while. It lasted. It was fun to display them at home when I was growing up. And then at just some point I was like, what is this? What is the purpose of this? Is there any kind of emotional joy or meaning to it? And the answer was, no. And I think all that stuff got thrown away.
Yeah, we get to decide what we're sentimental about. To kind of continue with my thoughts about the stub thing too. So when Teresa was coming to my house, she's like, our next phase, like where we're going, is getting into these things and creating a picture box that we can put up on the wall to show people these things that you find valuable, to display them in your home rather than hide them away. And I really would like to get to that place, if that's the kind of things I want to display on the wall, because then that goes into my next thing, which we're not going to talk about, guys. We don't need to go too deep into Danae's psyche today, but which is, where do I put things on the wall? I liked this comment from Josh Zero. Of course, whenever Miss Zero and I purge, we leave everyone else out of it, mostly so as not to hurt anyone's feelings. What a wild thing, but you're right. There is such an emotional tension amongst the family right now regarding grandmother's things, right? Because everyone has their own emotions tied to very interesting things.
Yep.
And everyone has their own version of what is best for those items, or best for the home, or best for each other. And so it causes conversation and conflict, and hopefully resolution and solution, and then action, but there's got to be a driving force to make decisions, and it is so emotional. So I think it's wise to keep people out of it. And when they come over and they're like, hey, what'd you do with that blah, blah, blah? You can be like, oh, you know what? The craziest story.
I threw it away. And before I threw it away, I broke it into 2 pieces because I hate it so much.
I had mold on it. Because people do get so emotional.
Well, different people are built differently.
Yeah, like Castrov says, I'm actually not very sentimental when it comes to that sort of thing. When I hoard stuff, it's purely because I think I can repurpose it. That's amazing.
But for some people, a gift that they have given you, if you get rid of it, you are getting rid of them.
Insult.
It is, yes. Gift people who are gift people, it is very difficult for them to feel like a gift that they gave wasn't important, because that means they're not important, and that
you're not wrong about that.
So yeah,
I'm having that issue right now with Iris. It's a great issue to have. Let's be clear. She loves to draw me pictures. She draws about 50 pictures a day. Do the math. I have so much Iris art, and I'm like, I don't know what to do with all this really cool art. Like, it's so cool. And it's like, I want her to know that it's important to me and it's important to her. But I also don't know where I'm going to put it all or what am I going to do. So I have ideas, but then I'm just an idea person and not an action person. That's another part of my psyche we're not going into today. I see about 6 square inches over your head for hanging things, Danae, says Slab. You're not wrong, Slab. I did create some space, and I'm experimenting with how long it's going to be there until I can't handle it anymore, because I want there to be something kind of in those spaces to display things. But there's like this maximalist in me that wants to show fun things and see my items, and like there's stuff in here that I've had since I was 2 years old, and I know that not everybody has a chance to carry those things with them, and I like them. I just need to stop. I don't want to have them for if it's making me feel suffocated. These things don't make me feel suffocated. It's the processes of purging things I don't need anymore.
Lolly's heading out, says, before I go, Danae, tell Iris that Uncle Aaron threw the art away because he hates clutter. Just blame it on Aaron.
That's good. I like it. Yeah. Lolly, have a good day. Thanks for coming and being here. And again, thanks to all of the people who join us live. Podcasters, we really appreciate you too. Again, you're welcome to join us. You can join us on Facebook, Twitter, are we on YouTube and Twitch. So there's lots of places that you can try to catch our show. So wherever you can find us, join us. The chats are always really, really sweet and kind, and I love seeing everybody's names. It's like hanging out with old friends.
Iris knows that I like her gifts because I have a gift of hers in the background of this very shot. There's a toy that she gave me one day where she was just like, I'm going to give this to you as a gift. And so it's sitting back there by Joy.
I have the same set gift up here too. It's the Daniel Tiger that goes along with your Miss Elena. Yeah. It's a fun process. And I'm glad to talk about it with you guys. Let's get back to some of the start comments. There's actually a you question. You want to shift over to some you questions?
Yeah, let's do some you questions, shall we? Let's talk about the things you want to know.
Here. This one's from Lucas earlier. It's too late to wish a happy new year, is it? I don't think so. No, especially we haven't seen each other.
Yeah, we haven't seen each other since the beginning of the year, so happy new year. Yeah.
It's still January, so it's still...
In fact, my topic, when we get to it next week, will still be kind of about new year kind of stuff, so yeah.
When is it too old to say happy new year? Like, when is it... It's also
I think once you get into February, you'll kind of get a look. Maybe like if you're like, hey, happy new year. But if you haven't seen somebody you love and care about till March and you say, hey, happy new year, I think they're going to get it. Like,
and I think we just actually crossed over the Chinese New Year too.
Lunar New Year was yesterday. Yeah.
Yeah. So, and I think it's now the year of the rabbit.
Yes, you got it. Yeah.
So yeah, I don't think it's too late. Happy New Year to you guys. And by happy, I mean actually literally the word happy. Like I hope you guys are happy.
Yes.
So far since New Year's, says Ollie earlier, my car has had the clutch replaced, the headlight bulb replaced, and then blew the fuse for rear lights. 2023 has not been kind to my car. I feel that, but mostly with electronics. I dropped my laptop a couple of days ago and my screen broke. And that was right after a piece of equipment that I purchased wasn't delivered by UPS, and now I'm having to find out if they're going to just send me a replacement or they're going to pay me back for it. Like it's been a bit of a wonky start, honestly, and an expensive one as well. My bills came in for my health issues, so now I know how much I'm going to have to pay over the insurance. That's expensive. So yeah, it's been a pricey start to the new year.
Yeah, I've had a little bit of the health stuff too. My my cardiologist, who I've gone to since my episode in what 2018, I think. I can't even remember. It's been like 5 years, 4 or 5 years. They apparently got into a little bit of a tiff with my insurance provider, and so they are no longer in network. So last time I went in, I realized they've been charging me for everything for the last while without telling me. And so I went in last time and they were finally like, oh, by the way, your insurance doesn't cover anything with us anymore. And I was like, okay, by the way, goodbye. And I will go find a different cardiologist. So I've been
when were they going to tell you?
I don't, apparently this week, apparently last week is when they decided to tell me. To be fair, I should have noticed.
How? Are they sending you mail?
Yes, but I had just gotten it the week before and I hadn't opened it. Usually I usually pay when I go. And so I wasn't worried about it. And I only go every 6 months. So it's anyhow. So I'm dealing with all that as well.
My gosh. Oh no. I mean, let's talk about another frustration. I'll share this one with you quickly, Aaron. Here's a short story of frustrations of the new year. While you guys get your you questions in. My grandmother is 92 years old, and she's most comfortable like when she is in a recliner. And so a family member said, let's get her a very comfortable recliner that stands up, like when she goes to leave it. The one she has now is like the old kind where you have to like really get your arm into it to pull the little foot lever out and then push it back in. And she's just not really able to function in it as much as she should be able to function in it.
Right.
So they go to the store, and my mom goes to purchase a nice one, $2,000 recliner. Okay. I tell my mother, do not go to Ashley Furniture. And I'm going to shame this company to filth publicly.
The Morning DNA sponsored by Ashley Furniture.
Actually, hey, we have a banner for that. Let me just go ahead. This is a not ad alert. They're all salesmen, and again, this is a very personal thing. But anyways, my mom and dad, they purchased this thing. They get it. They're told that they had like a time to return it. They call back to return it because it's not going to work. They don't. My grandmother's not even using the chair. It's in the corner with a blanket over it. They don't like it. The salesman lies to my parents and says they can't return it for X amount of days so that they would get their commission. So my mom and dad call after X amount of days and they're told, well, it's expired because you waited this long. So they were lied to. All of this was, I think, thankfully put in their notes of their account. I'm not entirely sure. So now they're like, well, we need to be able to return it. They explain the situation. They're like, yeah, we know. They actually admit to my parents that they lied to them on the phone. They're like, yeah, you were lied to. So they're like, well, how are we going to solve this? They're like, well, because she took a nap in the chair once, the warranty is now voided. So they will not give their money back. Then they go to the store to talk to a manager that can, the best manager that they can't get a hold of until on a specific day. So they go on this specific day, but their phone systems are down. So they can't actually call corporate to find out. And I'm just like, oh my gosh, mom and dad, you are being like just straight taken over the coals over this thing. This new year is trying to just like make our bank accounts painful. And we need to be very diligent, friends. Don't ever shop at Ashley Furniture is one of the best things you can do. Of course, let's just try to avoid nasty places and spread the word, about the nastiness of that place. But we just have to be so careful with our dollars. It's like it's just scary how a couple $1,000s can just break you. I don't know, guys. Thank you for listening to my rant about Ashley Furniture. So mad. Mad for them. I'm so mad for them. I hate it when people like swindle you. It may be like the cars that they break. You drop laptops. That's my bad. It was hanging off of the edge a little bit, ever so slightly, and my chair bumped it, and then it cracked my laptop. Those are things that we can't necessarily help, but
yeah.
Should we take another question? I'm so angry now.
Yeah, no, let's keep going. Let's go through as many as we can.
Top 5 favorite songs of 2022.
Ooh.
Whoa.
I don't think I'm going to be able to give you 5. I can tell you my favorite song that I started listening to in 2022, and I will also tell you all of my music experience now is through a game called BeatStar. That's where I find all my new music from, and I found this song through that. Dagny Norval Sandvik is the artist, and the song is Love You Like That. It is my favorite song of 2022.
Oh yeah. You know
It's
how they say you got the real thing when nothing else matters. I love you like that.
that's the one. That's the one. I love everything about that song.
One sustained note. I love you like that. I
But it
love you
does-
like that. I love you. I love you. I love you like that. Da, 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 da. It's the same exact note, except for there is some harmony going on in the background that gives it a little bit of texture.
It's a descending
It's
harmony, which is
super
really catchy and really which is really cool. And I love what it's saying. I love the lyrics. So yeah, I really, really dig that song. I'm sure I could come up, like if you gave me an hour, I'm sure I could come up with like 4 other songs that I really, really enjoyed hearing over the course of 2022. But that's the one that just immediately came to mind.
So it's interesting because this question might be like what songs just came out in 2022, and I don't listen to new releases as much anymore. But there are songs that I discovered in 2022 that were fun, and Newton Faulkner continues to be one of my favorite artists. But I think all the songs came out maybe like in the 90s or something. I just totally missed the Faulkner boat.
Sure.
And I liked some of Taylor Swift's new music that she came out with as well. They're really catchy. But I feel like most of the songs that I'm listening to are ones that definitely came out not in 2022. But I love music, so if you guys are posting some of your favorites.
There was another real fun song, and I can never remember the artist that I actually saw a music video of. It wasn't on BeatStar, but there was a music video, like a performance that I really, really liked, and I'm not going to remember, so I shouldn't have even brought it up. But there were those moments in 2022 when new music hit me good. So yeah.
Let's just continue to talk about how 2022 has just been financially unstable.
Let's just all commiserate with each other.
Josh Zero says, over our Christmas trip to Tennessee, my car's trunk malfunctioned and I had to cut a hole through my back seat to get our luggage and Christmas dishes out.
Yeah.
It's awful. Then when we got home, my pipes burst when I turned the water back on. See, I'm telling you, there's something about the start of the season that's just like a hard gut punch. Let's just hope it's not like pummel after pummel after pummel. Let's hope it's just like one hit, get the wind out, and then we spend the rest of the year recovering and getting better. Holy crap, I'm so sorry that happened to you.
Yeah.
Link asks, do you know of anything fun to do in Nashville in March by chance? Well, there's a lot of really fun and interesting things to do in March. Yes, Link is coming. Link and wife, I believe.
Nice.
There are a lot of fun things to do in Nashville, but one of my favorite things I love food. And so one of my favorite things to do is try new restaurants. And so I highly recommend just jumping on like Google Maps and just seeing the high reviewed coffee shops. There's a couple of like Italian restaurants. The Penne Pasta is one of my favorites now. That place is yummy. And it's not like it was too super expensive either. They had the best bowl of pasta I have ever had. And I've been to some like expensive fine dining Italian restaurants before, and they were delicious then as well. But this pasta was so good. And when you walk in, you're like, oh, it's kind of like feels like takeout-ish. It feels like really relaxed, but they hand make their own pasta fresh. So my favorite spots is like food places.
Just so we're clear, it's not Penny Pasta. That's actually a thing. It's Penny Pazza is the name of the name of the restaurant. Right. And it's actually Pazza.
Pazza.
So Pazza maybe, but I think they said Penny Pazza.
It's so good. I'm glad you clarified because that's a really good spot. And then of course I like the artsy stuff too, like going into antiquing shops, and because it's always interesting to see what cities, like what ends up in the antique shops at different types of cities, you know? But we just talked about hoarding, so maybe that's not a good idea. I don't know.
Yeah.
Yep. I like this one from Lucas. There's an episode of Seinfeld about wishing a happy new year.
Of course there is. Of course there is. There always seems to be. Well, I don't see anything else necessarily from you questions, so I guess we'll wrap it up for the day. Guys, genuinely, we missed you.
I missed you guys so much.
It is such a fun part of our life to be able to do this. I will say, obviously cannot guarantee the future. However, I'm not going anywhere until March. So like I'll be around. So fingers crossed for health and for,
health, right? Like, let's just hope Danae doesn't keep getting kicked around health-wise.
Yes. So hopefully we'll have several Mondays in a row here. We'll get to hang out and, personally, I'm not giving up on the idea of a someday, but we definitely have busy lives. So it is difficult, but we do love this so very much, getting to hang out with you on Mondays. And hope to be able to continue to do that more consistently here over the next few weeks. By the way, Danae, I don't know if you realize this, but I think it was about a year ago when we started this.
Aww.
So yeah, it was early in 2022 when we started this format of, what we're doing. So yeah.
Well, I'm glad you guys are here. Thank you for being in the chat. Thank you for everyone watching on different platforms. I echo all of Aaron's love to you all. We will see you guys, hopefully, unless something goes incredibly haywire, on next Monday. But you can also catch other things that we do throughout the week. If you follow over on my channel on Twitch, I also do some streaming of video games. If you follow us for our work streams on Twitch, then there's also sometimes video games and podcasts that we do. You can catch Aaron on Sift Pop talking movies. So there's all kinds of ways to connect with us. And so if you're feeling like you're missing us and you don't know how to find us, oh my gosh, just reach out. We'll be like, here we are. Here we are. We love putting content out for you guys to enjoy. For those of you who are on my Twitch channel, we're going to be going to listen to some music today from Selecta 720, who is one of my favorite DJs, just to put some music on in the background to your day. Of course, there's lots of things that you can find on Twitch. There's art streams. There's people who work on interesting things. You can kind of co-work with people if you're working from home. There's music. There's all kinds of stuff. So we're going to go right into Selecta 720 today, one of my favorite DJs. And that's all I have.
All right. We love you guys. We'll catch you on the next Monday or someday.